Okay. So functions, we have two types of functions. Okay. Use inbuilt functions, user defined functions. Okay. So what is a function? Function is a block of code. Okay, function is a block of code. We can group a logic into a group, particular logic into a function. Okay, so functions, how we can execute? By calling the function name, it will execute. Okay, by calling the function name, it will execute. By calling the function name, it will execute the function. How we can call the functions? So with function name, we can call the functions. If you guys see, right, length, max, min, just we are calling those functions based on our requirement. Okay, so what are the inbuilt functions we have? So these inbuilt functions, once we install Python, all inbuilt functions will be available. Okay, we can able to access those functions. Okay, we can able to access those functions. So what are the inbuilt functions we have so far? So for example, length, max, min, id. What is the use of id? So what is the use of id function? What it will do?
The memory.
It will return the memory location, right? dir, it will display the available functions, particular object. Okay, so these are a few examples for inbuilt functions: type, help. Okay, so even if I talk about any data type methods like count, append, extend, all this will fall under inbuilt functions. So once we install Python, we can able to access all these methods. Okay, all these functions. What about user defined functions? Means by using def keyword, we can create a function. Okay, we can create a function. Okay, in user defined functions, there are blocks of codes. Okay, so first thing, so how we can create a function? Okay, the general syntax is def function name. Okay, function name brackets okay. So here function body we can write. Okay, function body, whatever the logic we want to write in a function, we can write the function body. Okay, so what is the benefit of functions? What is the benefit of functions? We can reuse the code. We can reuse the code multiple times. We can reuse the code. Okay, based on our requirement, we can call n number of times. The function can be callable. We can call it n number of times. Okay, now here, this we can call as a function definition. Function define. Okay, definition. Okay, this is the function body. This is function body. And how to call this function? By using function name, we can call the function. Okay, this we can call as a function calling. Okay, okay, whenever we call this function, it will execute the function. Okay, so this is the general syntax we have. Okay, now if you guys remember, few functions will take arguments, few it won't take arguments. For example, id function, what it will do, it will take the argument, right? What is the argument? We are going to provide object, any type of object, correct? Length, it will take any sequence. So max, does it take any argument? It will take argument any sequence, it will return the values. Few functions, it won't take any argument. For example, I have a list. So in my list, does it sorted or unsorted order? It is mixed, right? It is not sorted. So if I want to sort this function, simply I can use sort function. That's it. So this sort function is taking any argument? No, right? It is not taking any argument. Just it will call the function, it will sort the value. Okay, for example, if I use another function id, so in this case, what it is doing, it is taking argument as a sequence or object, any object we can provide. Okay, so this object, what it will do, based on this object, it will return the what type of where is the memory location, it will return. Okay, so here the function we are calling without argument, here we are calling the function with argument. Okay, sometimes the functions will take multiple arguments, right? So it depends on our requirement, we can go for multiple arguments. Okay, so let's see here, while defining the function, if you want to create any arguments, if you want to use any arguments, we can define the arguments here. Let's say a and b. Okay, so I'm providing two arguments to this function. Okay, while calling this function, we have to provide those values. So these are the reference variable names, and these values we have to provide while calling the function. Okay, for example, I can provide, these are the values, these are the reference variable names. Okay, function arguments, this is actually we can call as a parameters, function parameters. These are the function parameters, this we can call as a function arguments. When we are calling the function, those are the arguments. When we are defining the function, these are the parameters. Okay, so this is the way we can define the function. Let's have a small function, how we can create, and let's see. Let's say def, just I'm going to go for add some function. Okay, simple example, I am declaring two variables parameters, and I'm printing a plus b. That's it. So how I can call this function? I can call this function with function name. Okay, while calling this function, I have to provide these values, a and b value. Okay, something like this. Okay, so guys, here you guys can see a colon b colon, right? That is, I am not writing anything there. It is a pie chart giving the suggestions. Okay, a is the 10 is the a value, b is the 40, something like this. It is a automatically generated value. I am not typing anything here, just I'm giving the value. That's it. Okay, so whenever I call this function, what will happen? It will execute this piece of code. Okay, so here this is the function definition. Okay, with parameters, and this is the function body. This is the function calling. Okay, now let's run this one. You can see sum of a plus b is 50. Now, if I am not using parameters, arguments, what will happen? What is the benefit of having parameters? I want to do sum of two numbers, that is fine. So here, instead of this, I am not using parameters. Directly I am hard coding here. So how this work? So whenever I call this function, it is print every time 50. My intention is that any two numbers, if I given, it should return the sum of two numbers. Instead of that, it will return every time 50 because these values are hard coded. Okay. To avoid hard code values, we can use the function arguments. Okay. I can call the function n number of times with the different values. So this time, see, I can call the function n number of times with the different values. So my intention is that whenever I provide values, that should print some of those values. If I don't have parameters, if I have hard coded this value, it won't make sense. So right, every time it will return same logic, same value. Okay, let's see 50, 90, 110. Whenever I provide different values, I can execute my function. Okay, so here what is the benefit? The same function we are calling n number of times. We are reusing the code itself. Okay, we are reusing the some function itself n number of times and calling. Okay, different arguments. If you guys remember, there is a one more point here. Okay, so what is the use of pop method? In the list we have pop, right? What it will do?
Will remove the last item.
It will remove the last item from the list, right? And it will return the value. If you guys remember, it will return the value, correct? So how this will return the value? Okay, for example, there is a keyword called return. In a function, we can return the values or anything. By using return, we can return the values. So here, even I can return the value sum of a plus b. Okay, so whenever this time, if I call this function, so it will print this statement and this variable, whatever the function calling we have, if I store into a variable, let's say, okay, so if I print, yes, what will be the output? This function, whenever we execute this function, it will return the value. Okay, what it will return? A plus b itself it will return, and that I am storing it in a variable and printing yes. So in this case, it will return 110. Okay, so 110 will be stored into the yes, and it will return that value. You can see 110 is, so one time it is printing from here and another time it is printing from here. Okay, we can return values, we can store into the variable and we can use it. Okay, I hope it is clear. So now inside functions, we can write any kind of code, either for loop, while loop, conditions, anything we can write. So generally they will ask the questions. So write a function to create a pattern, or write a function to get the key value pair. For example, let's go for same example. The question is that write a function to get the key value pairs. Okay, as a key value, get the dictionary key as a character and number of occurrences as a value. Okay, so like this they will ask the question. So here you know how to write the dictionary comprehension or dictionary update, right? Key as a character and value as a number of occurrences as a value. And this time we have to write a function. Okay, this time we have to write a function. How we can write it? Okay, let's say def get picked something, and here I'm going to provide the string argument. Okay, so I'm going to declare one empty dictionary. So this time I'm going for loop. Okay, for I in S, if I not in D1 of I equals to 1, else D1 of I plus equals to 1. Okay, so at the end we are returning the D1. Okay, guys, this logic we are going to write multiple times in our interview point of time. Okay, they will ask, don't use dictionary comprehension, use for loops. In that case, we can use this mechanism. Okay, we can declare one empty dictionary and we can iterate in a for loop for I in S, if I not in D1. So here I will be not there in the D1 means it is a dictionary, empty dictionary, right? So whenever we use D1 dictionary, something like this, it will check in the keys, not the values. Okay, if not there in the D1, it will, what it is doing, if you guys remember dictionary, how we can update the values, we are assigning the value, right, to the I key. Else, if it is already there in the I in the dictionary, we are incrementing the value by 1. Okay, so like this we can do. Now, how I can call this function? Get dict. Yes. Okay, so this function, what it is doing, it is returning the dictionary. Okay, if I use print statement, sorry, if I use print statement, it will print the dictionary. Okay, reason, it is returning the value whatever it is returning, that I am printing it directly. Okay, let's execute. You can see dictionary we are getting in a form of key value pair. Okay, so this is the way we can use functions. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to talk about function arguments, types of arguments, what are the types we have. There are like 4 types: positional arguments, default arguments, star args, keyword star args. Tomorrow we are going to talk about them, and what are the prepared standards we have to follow while defining the functions also we can discuss tomorrow.